Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ERSCA Belly Up Sports Series. Dom Santina here with you. David Westergreen, my color commentator, will be joining us here in the booth in just a minute, and we're going to have Emily Harlan down on pit road. We are getting ready for our Belly Up Sports Daytona Duels, setting the field for our Daytona race next Monday night. We've just wrapped up the practice session, getting ready to do some qualifying, and then we will move on to our dual lineups. Cars starting to get up on the track. We'll see them start to make their way up on the timing and scoring grid there as they come on. Looks like we got the 3 car there on screen. That is the Zach Patton on track, ready for his warm up or his qualifying lap. Emily, since you're here, if you want to chime in, you can, since we're waiting on David to get going. How are you doing tonight? And you excited for really our first real race of the season?
Yeah, I'm doing well tonight. I'm really excited to see how these guys do. I'm hoping to jump in a little bit more and get some more interviews from everyone. So yeah, just can't wait to get going.
We hope we can throw it down to you as well, get some insight onto what's going on with the races. We welcome everybody that's watching. We did have a fun little dash last week, kind of testing out some of our technical stuff and making sure we are ready to go here for the duels and the Daytona race next week. Looks like Klein is currently the quickest with a 50.9. And as I say that, Adams jumps to the top of the board. Klein will go to second. It's going to change here quickly at Daytona's. We got a lot of cars going around. Looking at the top 10 right now on your screen. Campbell and Riggs jumping up to the board, but we saw quite a bit of few interesting things that we'll talk about throughout the night in the dash that set us up here for the duels. The biggest thing that took everybody by surprise were some of the saves we saw just in that dash. Here's Chris Wright coming up on track for his qualifying time. See where he can land on the board. Heading aboard his Chevrolet. There are going to be 25 cars that are locked into the Daytona 250. There's going to be 21 cars that are going to be go or go home cars. We'll mention them throughout the night, but it'll definitely make it interesting. Crump goes to the top of the board in the 51 car. New race leader, there he is. Looks like we got David. David, you here?
I'm here. Just came
All
from
right,
another broadcast there, so
all good. We just started qualifying maybe a minute or two ago. So Scott Crump just went to the top of the board.
yeah,
Jared Campbell in second, Jeff Green third, Tyler Riggs fourth, and Josh Adams drops the number 5. Is working on Dalton Tucker. His Ford Mustang. David, we already asked Emily her thoughts on the night. What do you think about getting ready with these duels? And you excited for the season to finally get underway?
I am. ERSCA's such a huge money league. That's what's kind of the idea here. These guys are going to be racing for dough the entire season, including right now. It's going to be an excellent show, and we're going to do our best to put on a great one. And we got a lot of guys who are looking to race their way in with a lot of speed. Those are going to be the names to look out for. I think is a lot of those guys who are outside the locked in.
Yeah, I had kind of hinted at it before you joined us. 25 cars locked into the show already, 21 cars. Go or go home, so it's going to be interesting throughout the night. We got the 37 Toyota of Ethan Burrell making his way around the track.
Yeah,
Burrell.
Ethan's coming off of a very near win back at Elite Racing Monday nights. He was leading with 2 laps to go and got run into and came up short. So he's certainly going to be running with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I believe he's also an open car that needs to go or go home.
You are correct. Looking at our list, he is in the go or go home position, so we'll see where he will land on the board.
I'm looking for that team chart here because that's going to be the info needed. But at Daytona, this qualifying setup is very simple. You just hang the wheel to the left, try not to overturn it coming out of the corner, and you can see throughout the field how close everyone is on time. Within a tenth of each other, all the way back to 42nd place from the pole. Looks like so. Everybody all the way back is right with each other, and that just opens up the slightest mistakes can cost you an opportunity to race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned there, David, not much of a gap, especially for those go or go home cars. In a place like Daytona, when you're talking about 900ths of a second being the difference, I mean, that's really hard to try to manage. Got just a few more minutes left to go here in the qualifying session, and we'll get ready for our first duel here tonight. David, I don't know if you want to hit on it a little bit. We can kind of go back and forth, but I talked about we did have that dash last week and maybe some of the big takeaways that we kind of saw from that dash that we can put towards the duels here tonight.
Well, these guys are fantastic drivers. Is the first thing I took away from that dash. We had a number of chances to have a big wreck, and these guys just actively said no, and so the race went very green. Without any real incidents, and wound up with a really good finish among like 4 or 5 cars right near the end. We saw guys like Johnny Thomas and um, Josh Adams, who is qualified fifth there on the board, Tyler Riggs as well, and he qualified fourth. Those guys were very aggressive and up front, throwing blocks and making hard moves to get to the lead. I think that track position is going to be the key tonight. Without track position, you can't move through this field. These guys are just way too spaced out. These cars don't move very well. Yeah, you have to be very careful.
Yeah, I think another thing that we saw too is you want to stay in the pack as much as possible. Everyone knows at Daytona you lose the pack and you're going to drop significantly in speed and timing. And so as long as you can stay in the draft and stay with the guys, you're always going to have a chance at Daytona. But that, and then I think really the big surprise to me, other than the saves, were how much contact to the nose can affect your race car.
Hmm. Yeah, I in that race earlier tonight, I got actually bumped into on the nose, and the car was just instantly almost done, and I did not hit very hard. With 30 lap races, though, these things are very much dashes. These guys are going to be, without a doubt, um, up on edge the entire night. There won't be much of a chance to lose the pack, and these guys aren't going to be relaxing long enough to lose that front pack.
It looks like we are about done with qualifying. Looks like Scott Crump is going to be the winner here in qualifying, take the number 1 spot. We'll get ready for duel number 1. So we're going to start to grid out here for this first Belly Up Sports Daytona duel.
All right. Yep. Scott Crump and Jeff Green and Josh Adams all together. That is a team car, or a set of team cars rather. I believe they're running for Rubbins Racing Motorsports there. So it looks like Jeff Green isn't, but they work together in Elite Racing. So I imagine they'll be working together um, again tonight. We also got Johnny Thomas, Michael Goodman, Colin Fambro, and then I believe Fambro is an open driver as well as Goodman. So those guys are going to have to race their way into the field.
Yeah, and then you got Giovanni Klein starting 7th, Adam Pidet in 8th, Chris Wright 9th, Connor Trafari in 10th, starting 10th, 11th, Zayshawn Dura, and 12th, Damian Leininger. Starting 13th, Ethan Burrell. 14th, Chuck Sweeting. 15th, Jake Finch. 16th, Nick Indelicato. 17th, Marshall Stanley. 18th, Zach Patton. 19th, Cameron Rich. 20th will be Kenny Lowry. 21st, Brandon Scott. 22nd, Kendall Player. And 23rd, Dylan Thomas. Sorry if I messed up on any of those names there.
I think you were good. All those guys are looking for a chance to race their way in here. I think the guys that we have to keep our eye on are Fambro, and then Dalton Tucker, I believe, is trying to race his way in. So actually, no, he's not in this race. It would have been Ethan Burrell. Jeff Green is trying to race his way in as well. Just trying to keep our eye on those guys. Michael Goodman is another one, and then Nick Indelicato as well as Connor Triffery. Those are the guys that we have to keep our eye on and watch them race their way in. We're taking in 25 that are locked into the 500 from last season's points, and then everyone else, it's going to be whether or not they can keep it up. So, yeah, right there, top 3 in each duel move on. Fastest 11 from qualifying. So you know what? That's probably going to lock in Jeff Green, Michael Goodman, Fambro as well, and probably Triffery.
It'll be interesting for sure. Gonna get ready to go 30 laps for both duels, but we're getting ready to go here with duel number 1. Scott Crump and Jeff Green gonna lead us to the green flag here for our first Belly Up Sports duel. Pace truck down and away. We'll hit the restart zone. Green flag in the air, and away we go. The season is officially underway with the duels. Crump waiting on the push to get up front. Too wide as we make our way into turns 1 and 2. Looks like the bottom line's gonna get a little bit of a run here as Crump gets a push from Adams. And they're gonna break away a little bit up here on the bottom line.
And Michael Goodman going to clear Jeff Green right there. And if you're a kind of a new fan to ERSCA, to iRacing, and to this kind of group of drivers, that Jeff Green is the Jeff Green that won the 2000 Busch Series championship in the 10 car, as well as ran in the Nextel Wedston Sprint Cup Series in NASCAR. So that 38 car is one. And man, Ethan Burrell sideways in the middle of the pack.
Looks like he's got it under control though, and they are making their way up. Adams and Crump still clear. Crump now going to jump to the top side. Adams, here he comes. Adams to the top side and ahead of Crump, and it looks like we have a new race leader heading down the backstretch.
That 83 car right there, Johnny Thomas, was one of the dominant cars in our duel race, or rather in our clash. Josh Adams was the winner of the clash. So if you have two guys who you peg as favorites, I mean, it's got to be Adams and Thomas. And you're on board with Johnny Thomas in this 83 car. He has just been really aggressive in this speed weeks, very, very strong up in the top, and very quickly making his way to the front.
Yeah, you can see right there, going about 190 miles an hour as they come back across the start-finish line once again. And I'd look for, as David said there, for Johnny Thomas to try to make his way up to the point and see if he can hold these guys off. Sitting there in the 4th spot right now, that top line, trying to get a run to draw even with your race leader Adams in the 95. Crump giving a good push on the bottom line. About half a car length lead.
You know, I was noticing there, Giovanni Klein in the 85, not really up to the back bumper of Michael Goodman, and that's going to cause the bottom line to stall out a little bit. Jeff Green on top with Johnny Thomas pushing very closely, as well as Colin Fambro. That outside line really making its way towards the front. With that inside line can get a little bit better grouped, a little bit better space, they'll be able to pull back up, and that's what Josh Adams has been able to do here.
That bottom line now having a little bit of momentum, and once again, we see Crump and Adams teaming up to try to go out in front of the rest of the pack. Adams is clear out front, Crump trying to get there. And now Green sitting on that corner panel of Crump as they make their way around the backstretch.
That's just how close they're going to get right there with Scott Crump and Josh Adams.
Crump taking a look to the inside there of Adams. See if he thinks to make a move. We saw Adams was pushing Crump, jumped up to the hot top side. We'll see if Crump can get clear, if he'll do the same thing, but here comes Green again on the top side. Their top line's getting a run here back to the start finish line.
A lot of fast cars, a lot of cars that we expect to kind of contend for this Daytona 500 victory on next Monday night. And in that, Jeff Green, Johnny Thomas, Colin Fambro, Ethan Burrell, all very quick race cars, all shoving their way towards the front.
As you mentioned earlier, David, Fambro, one of the cars that had to race his way in, he's running pretty well up here, sitting there third in line on that top line. See if he can get up here and challenge for the race lead as well, sitting right there pushing Johnny Thomas.
Yeah, Fambro and Michael Goodman, I believe I would lock those guys into the field based on their qualifying time. Those guys were very, very quick up here in the top 10 or 15 total cars in the top 5 of this race. But they're both probably locked in. Giovanni Klein also probably locked in. But once again, we're not 100% on those that are locked in as we see one of our kind of final 4 from last year, Chris Wright, behind Giovanni Klein right here, moving towards the front of the field. But one thing that I've noticed from watching these Xfinity cars, just watched a full race, and now coming after this one, these cars really block each other up. There's not a whole lot of places to go. Maybe we could bring Emily in and maybe get her opinion if she's maybe talked to the drivers and see if there's any plans to either fall back or try to get track position some way in this short duel race.
I haven't talked to anybody about that, but that's definitely the point that I would like to know. It seems like so far everyone's kind of bunched up and not really getting much traction on anybody else so far. So that's definitely something that I would like to know from the drivers and something we can check in on.
And now's the perfect time to do that. The caution has just come out. Pretty big crash here. I think a 4 or 5 car crash. Looks like this is the 22 car of Lowry. Be Kenny Lowry, one of our drivers who is locked into the Daytona 500. So let this not a devastating blow to the 22 car.
We'll go back here and take a replay at it, and as soon as we can maybe grab a couple of these guys, bring them up, and we'll let Emily talk to them about what happened. Just towards the back of the field here.
Oh, right there, right in front of this group, 25 car. I believe that's Jake Finch. Got turned, and it just sent everyone spinning sideways.
Well, it's our first real crash we've seen so far this season. We didn't see any really in the clash that we saw, but here in the duels, first big one. Looks like it's about a 4-car crash.
Yep.
Sent the commitment cone flying too.
That was Cameron Rich in the 47 who went spinning to the bottom in that Toyota right there. You see him driving back up.
I think for the most part, though, Lowry looked like he received the most of that damage.
Yep. Zach Patton is another one. The three car also involved. Patton is locked into the Daytona 500 as well. So between Patton and Lowry, the damage is not too severe, though Cameron Rich is not locked in, and I don't believe he had a fast enough qualifying time to lock himself in. So we'll have to see whether or not Rich has too much damage.
All right, I think we have Kenny Lowry with us in the booth. Emily, we'll send it down to you, and you can talk to Kenny about what happened there in that accident.
Perfect. Kenny, do you have a copy?
I sure do.
All right. So what happened out there? Take me through what you saw on the track.
So they were all over the place up there in the seemed like the second place behind Scott and the outside lane, they just seemed to not be able to stay smooth. As soon as I jumped out to the outside, they wrecked. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, and that's what I get for qualifying as bad as I did. But just it's Daytona. I don't think I've finished a super speedway race in this league, so it's just keeping the streak alive.
Well, what challenges have you seen so far on this track?
Just trying to keep everybody smooth and make smart decisions, I guess. It seems like, I don't know, people, they bounce all over the place. They uh if they could just stay in line and instead of trying to be tucked right behind somebody so they're not moving so much. I mean, I don't know, that's about it. It's nothing, just basic stuff.
Well, what's the damage like to your car? Are you going to be able to get back out there?
Yeah, I'll turn a couple laps before she blows. She's got 8 minutes of optional. Just finished my required, so I'm gonna head out there and not give up another lap. I don't know, are we getting ready to go green?
Looks one lap to go before we're gonna go green. So,
Okay.
Kenny, if you want to head back out there, you probably have time.
Yep.
All right, Kenny, thanks for the time.
All right, thank you, Emily, as well, getting us the insight there with Kenny Lowry on that first crash, and I'm sure that's not the only time. We'll throw it down there to Emily to talk to some of the drivers and get their insight onto what they see happen during crashes here at Daytona. We're going to get them double filed once again, get ready for the restart.
Now I'm looking over my list. Looks like Jake Finch is going to be an open car, I believe. So that's another one that we're going to need to kind of keep our eye on, yeah, as well as this number 30 car. It may have not have been the car I thought it was. Thought that was the number 3 of Patton when I was looking at it, but I suppose possibly not. Anyway, let's re-rack. Josh Adams still your leader. Jeff Green still second. Scott Crump still third. And then Johnny Thomas is in fourth with Michael Goodman running fifth.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to see any breakaway other than Adams, or at the time it was Crump as well, who was leading the race. Front car has been able to get clear, but other than that, they've been side by side for the first few laps here.
Now, what's going to happen is with these cars on a restrictor plate track, they're going to bunch them up, and they're going to stay double wide for the entire event. That 30 laps is not enough time for us to really get singled out. We saw some of that in the clash, but we're going to see it. These guys keep it side by side, racing very hard, going for spots in the Daytona 500. And for these guys who are open drivers, they're going to have to be very careful not to get taken out if they did not qualify well enough.
Pace car down and away. Adams and Green going to lead us back to the green flag. We're going to wait for that push from behind to build up the momentum, and we are green. Adams going to receive that push from Crump. Put that 95 car back out to the race lead. Top line building up momentum. Now we're going to try to draw even as we go into 1 and 2.
Looks like neither of the lines are particularly well formed up. Now, though, the outside line may be a little bit better formed. Crump giving a really good push to Adams. And the closer you are to the back bumper of that car in front of you, the better. But we saw in the Elite Series race earlier tonight, Josh Adams was right where Johnny Thomas is for a little bit too long, and he got a little bit too close and blew the motor on that 95 car. If you run right up behind somebody for too long, that motor will blow.
Yeah, that kind of takes me back to, you go back to the NASCAR iRacing series, and Clint Boyer had that exact same thing happen. Sat back there behind a lap car too long. He was in the lead and blew it. So you got to make sure and you'll see them. They're dodging in and out. That's not necessarily looking to make a pass. That's just trying to get some fresh air into those cars so they don't overheat, like David said.
Great camera work here by our producer guy, Joshua Sobel, doing a fantastic job. Scott Crump going for the lead, and everybody kind of moving to the top now. Crump back to the bottom.
It's getting aggressive. Getting aggressive up front.
Michael Goodman just cut Scott Crump a massive break. He could have easily spun out that 51 car into the pack. Goody doing a great job keeping it together. He's one of those guys who will race you as clean as he comes the entire night. He's going to be as just as respectful as they come. He's a great guy. So Michael Goodman running right up here in the top 5, doing an excellent job.
Adams came back down the racetrack, threw a block on Crump, and he's going to stick to the bottom side. Now the top line starting to gain a little bit of momentum again as Green's trying to bring them back even with Adams, but not able to do it. They're still sitting in with Crump there in the second spot.
Now the key here, and I don't think Johnny Thomas is pushing Jeff Green to 100% so far, as we see him flash by a laps car there. I think that outside line has a little bit more momentum than it could have. Those guys are just kind of holding out right now, waiting for this race to kind of draw a little bit closer to the end. Crump now takes advantage of that and jumps up in front of Jeff Green.
Crump makes another aggressive move to the top side. Going to go to the race lead here with a push, carry that momentum, and you can see as we ride on board with Johnny Thomas, that top line making some ground now as Adams loses the race lead for a minute, but here comes Adams drafting off the 51, side drafting off his door, trying to stay even with him.
Side drafting, I believe, does exist in this game, and if you get kind of close to the spoiler, the left rear of that car to your inside, you can kind of pull them back. You see that featured in real NASCAR, but this simulator also will do that well. You will pinch the car down to the bottom of the racetrack, and then that inside line will check up drastically through the center of the corner, and it will allow that outside line to get a good run.
Crump did a little bit of that coming through turns 3 and 4, and he's able to pull that top line out to the race lead. So Scott Crump back out in front, getting a push from Green, trying to clear Adams on that lower line. But now here comes the inside line back in the turn to draw even, and now by just a nose, Adams back out in front.
This battle is going to rage on for this entire duel race. We're coming around to halfway, and we've seen this thing look like it's in a pace lap the entire time. As Crump does take the lead here, they are really not giving each other much room up front. Jeff Green right there to the back bumper of Scott Crump, just to the outside, trying to take the lead for himself.
Crump dives down to block that bottom line of Adams and the rest behind him. Thomas still trying to push Green up there to draw even with Crump. We'll see. Sometimes in the corners here, this top line can get momentum. We'll see if Crump will jump back up and try to block it. Right now the bottom line hooked up better than the top line, and the top line going backwards a little bit. Now Goodman's almost clear of Green as well.
Now what the shuffling that's kind of taking place here as I watch race after race here during speed weeks is the car will jump up to the outside lane. Whoever's first in the outside lane will pass that first car on the bottom, drop down. That will check up the outside lane. And then, as we just saw, the guy who lost the lead jumps back to the outside lane in front of second in the outside. And that's what Josh Adams did. They get real squirrely through the tri-oval there.
Yeah, they got really close, almost made contact, did Crump and Adams, but able to keep it off of each other. And now it's still Crump on the bottom lane in the 51 car out front. Adams trying to draw that top side. And now we got car jumping up. Is that, I'm not quite sure. I thought it was maybe Leininger, but I don't think it is. Jumping up, making it 3 wide, deep in the pack. I don't think it's going to work out very well. He didn't have anyone go with him to the top side.
I believe that's Kendall Noah Player in the 94 car making that move. Yep. So Leininger is in the 12 car right there, right in front of the 47, who's making a very nice move right back to the front as we see a battle for the lead. Jeff Green will take it, and Johnny Thomas looks like he's finally making those aggressive pushes we saw from the clash. As Fambro a little sideways out of the draft, may have been calculated trying to reduce those temperatures.
We're past the halfway point now, David. It seems like some of these cars might have been riding around to that halfway point. I don't think it's quite 100% go time yet, but it seems like the aggression has ramped up maybe just a little bit here now in the second half of the race.
I think you're absolutely right. You're seeing guys like Damian Leininger and Chris Wright make their way towards the front of the field. Ethan Burrell starting to kind of make some hay, and then guys who spun out before, like Jake Finch and Cameron Rich kind of making their way back up to the front at the back end of this field as Green and Goodman side by side and very, very close together.
Crump and Adams have been together most of the time. Here comes a crossover move by Crump to the inside. He went up high. Adams went to block him. Now he dives low. Looking for
Oh,
the race
sideways.
lead, and Johnny Thomas has been kicked out of line.
Cameron Rich sideways as well. He'll save it. Another great save by the ERSCA drivers.
Yeah, that could have been really bad. Couple cars diving down to the apron there to avoid the stack up that happened. And now the top line has built quite a bit of a run here as Adams and Green make a run to the top side to go around Crump, trying to break free.
That's not good for Cameron Rich. He is going to have to find some drafting partners back there and race his way back up. Looks like he didn't lose too many spots, though. He'll be all right.
Adams going to dive to the bottom with Crump here again. These two going to hook up once again.
Ooh, man, he dropped into the apron there, didn't Crump. Scott Crump being very, very aggressive with the bumps and the crossover moves in this 51 car, showing why he was one of our champion, our final 4 drivers last year, being really aggressive and really smart with his runs at the front of the field.
Green now getting a push from Fambro, who's now the second car in line on the top side, and Green out to the race lead. Now he'll drop down and drop ahead of Adams for the first time tonight. Green is out front.
Now, what I've seen so far a number of times in these races is where Crump is, that's where you don't want to be, because you're just going to be shuffled around by the leader in front of you and the guy first on the outside lane. Those guys are just going to flip-flop the lead, and Crump won't be able to get back through there. And I think, Crump knows this. He's going to make an aggressive move to try to forge his way back past Jeff Green.
Yeah, you can see Crump trying to dive to the inside, looking for a little bit of air, but also looking for some room, trying to find a spot to go and make a move. And we saw Adams jump back up to the top side, partner with Fambro, and he's trying to get back out to the race lead after Green took the lead on that top side line.
For the Fambro here. He's coming. He's been as good as they come so far. Looking very, very fast and trying to keep this top line together and running down Jeff Green, the former Busch Series champion.
Green bought his time on the top side. Now he's dropped down to the bottom line, trying to hold off Crump, who's starting to grow a little bit impatient back here in that second spot. They've got around Adams, almost cleared him. Crump looking to get back out to the race lead as we close in on less than 10 to go here in duel number 1.
Damian Leininger to the outside, jumps around Chris Wright, trying to take away that outside lane. He's got help from Ethan Burrell. Those guys have raced together a number of times before, 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, we'll see how well that will work. Burrell and Leininger up there.
No, it's not going to work well at all.
Leininger into the wall, cars spinning down to the infield.
Oh!
Car in the inside wall, and there's our second caution.
Oh, boy. You knew that 3 wide move was very bold, and just looked like Chris Wright came up off the bottom, out of his line in the middle ever so slightly. And the net code of these cars is a little bit bigger than what they actually are, and that can hook them together. And that looks like it was exactly what happened between himself and Damian Leininger.
Well, David, that car of Leininger looks very reminiscent of the Clash car. Front end completely gone off the 12. Damian got into some contact in the Clash as well, and we'll go back and take a replay of this one. We were looking back there as it happened. Leininger had just jumped to the top side to make it 3 wide, and quite a few cars going through, and Leininger even got together there. Didn't catch with who it is, but he actually looks like after that contact with the wall, he came out of it okay. A few other cars got sent through the infield, including the 37 car of Ethan Burrell, who was pushing Leininger there in line on the top side.
That's dangerous for Ethan Burrell. He is the back end of those, top 11 cars, I would think, that needed to qualify their way into this Daytona 500. He seems sliding there. Looks like not too much damage, but not what you want to see if you're on the bubble at the go or go home times.
Definitely not gonna help at all. Looks like he's gonna be able to keep that Toyota Supra going though, back up on the racetrack. We'll see if he can have. I mean, it's still Daytona, so anything can happen. You get in the right draft, and we're gonna have about 5 laps to go, and we go back green flag racing.
Yeah, you know, I've seen Ethan Burrell drive a car with far more damage to a good finish. The man is very, very good at driving a car with a little bit of damage on it. So he's always going to be fast. I envision it's not over yet for Ethan Burrell if he isn't one of those top 11 qualifiers that we showed there. As we come down to the end of this race, that caution was maybe a massive break for Cameron Rich, who had kind of gotten sideways in one of those crashes. He probably needs to be one of those top 3 guys, and he got caught up to the field. Another one up into the top 10 now that raced his way up in here was Connor Trafari in the 9 car. So fortunate for him, that caution came out and he was not involved. He'll have an opportunity to kind of finish off racing his way into this race.
Well, I do believe we have Damien Leininger in the booth with us, so we'll send it down to Emily, and he can talk. She can talk to Damien about what happened in that crash.
Hi, Damien. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right. Just take me through what you saw out there. What happened on that crash?
I mean, we were all kind of squirrely all over the place. So Ethan had told me, let me know when it's time to go to the outside. So had a good run coming off too. So it just took it to the outside, and then, it's always going to be pretty tricky when you're running 3 wide, especially the way these cars unload coming off the corner. They're really loose. So I guess I got to run off 4, and I guess Chris said he got hit from the inside and then just put us into the wall. So, I mean, it's a product of this racing 3 wide late in the race. Cars are moving all over the place. It's bound to happen.
Well, what's the damage to your car like? Are you going to be able to get back out there?
Yeah, I had about 1:20. I got it all fixed, but I think I'm gonna be out there, but I'm not gonna be anywhere near competitive for a chance to win it. So.
All right. Well, Damien, we'll see how the rest of this race goes. Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Emily. And that was our second caution, and as we've seen here in the duel number 1, I'm sure we'll at least, if not come back to you here as the laps are winding down, we'll at least talk to you in duel number 2. We're going to give you a rundown here of how it's looking. It's Jeff Green out front, Josh Adams second, Scott Crump third, Colin Fambro fourth, Michael Goodman fifth, Giovanni Klein sixth, Jake Finch seventh, Connor Trafari eighth, Zishan Derua ninth, and Chuck Sweeting in 10th.
Yeah, but then that's Marshall Stanley there in 11th in the 25, and Nick Indelicato in 12th place in the 01 car. Indelicato is on the bubble, as are Finch and Trafari in the 9 car. So got to keep an eye out for them. A lot of open cars here in this top group.
Well, David, we saw that accident caused by going 3 wide, and I wouldn't expect anything less here as we're going to have about 5 to go as we go back green flag racing. Green and Adams going to lead us back to the green flag as we enter the restart zone. See if anyone pulls the trigger to make it 3 wide or if we stay 2 by 2 around the racetrack.
5 laps to go here. Michael Goodman on the bottom. Giovanni Klein up top, not at all close to create that energy that these lines need to build. I think Scott Crumps might clear Josh Adams going down the back straightaway and try to take that run to the top. Nope, Adams fights back.
Crump's been a good pusher all day long, but I know he doesn't want to push for much longer. He wants to get out in front and receive the push. See how aggressive he is as we're coming to 4 to go.
Jeff Green has won races from this very spot a number of times. Crump sideways on the apron. He's going to have to get out of it, and that'll cause the bottom lane a lot of damage. Ooh, man, and he tried to come up the track again and got into Goodman, and now he's going to spin Finch.
They're both going to save it, just like we saw in the clash. Great saves.
Finch came up the track right in front of somebody. Did he save it again? Yeah, he sure
Yeah,
did.
he did. How about that? Saves once again on display here in the duels. That's going to take Scott Crump out of a dual win. It's going to, looks like Adams jumped down to the bottom side there. That's going to put Fambro to the top side. He's getting a little bit of a push here from Klein on the top line.
We haven't seen Fambro have a chance to really do anything except for push so far. Can he make a move on Josh Adams? Adams has been one of those dominant cars all day up front, the Clash winner, trying his best to make his way through through these last couple of laps clean.
3 laps to go. And remember, the top 3 spots are the ones that move on for the Daytona 250. For qualifying spots, and Fambro trying to hang on to the back of Green. Green and Adams have almost broke away from that top line. They're going to help from Goodman, and there goes Green. He gets turned by Fambro, and it's going to be a big one here.
Kicks
Multiple
Trifari out
cars
as well.
involved.
Trifari, Fambro should be okay, should be locked in based on speed, but Trifari, I think, that is not good news for the 9 car. Jeff Green, I think, tried to jump up to the outside lane, wasn't clear, and got turned by Fambro. Oh man, we're gonna have to take a look at the replay on that one. Big wreck on the back straightaway here at Daytona in the ERSCA Duels.
I think you were pretty spot on there, though, David, when we go back and look at this replay. Green tries to come up to the high side. Fambro's there at his quarter panel and gets turned around, makes contact with the wall quite a few times. A couple cars went into the infield there, including Fambro and a couple others.
And this race reminder will pay $10 to win for each duel. So these guys are racing for a little bit of money at the end of the day on top of their starting position next week. Somebody like Jeff Green there on board, nowhere to go. It just stacked up the outside lane too. So Trifari and Zishan Dura, nowhere to go. And they get sent spinning. I will leave Cameron Risch as well at spinning again. Just absolutely tough luck for him so far today. Fambro as well to the apron and spun out, though he should be all right to be locked into the 500 based on qualifying speed.
Yeah, I think Fambro is going to be all right, but it actually didn't look like Green made contact with the wall as many times as I thought. I think he actually kept it off the wall pretty good there while he was spinning. Might have only made contact once or twice, but we're looking at Fambro from above here.
Green is also an open car, but again, qualifying that well, he's certainly going to have locked himself into the field. Yeah, that makes things especially interesting because Adams really doesn't have any competition now. All those guys that he's been racing with all day just got taken out, and now Michael Goodman, he's been in the top 5 all race, up here in second, and yeah, Giovanni Klein up into third. Both of those guys have been in the top 5 or 6 all race, but just haven't been able to make any moves. Now they're going to have a fair shot to win a duel race.
Well, with that caution, that's going to send us into a green-white checkered situation here for the ending of this first duel race. All right, so we would send it down to Emily, but we don't have any of the drivers in the chat, so we're going to keep it right here. We'll get ready to go for our green-white checkered finish to end duel number 1. That puts Josh Adams, your race leader, Michael Goodman in second, Giovanni Klein third, Chuck Sweeting in fourth, Zishan Dura fifth, Cameron Rich sixth, Johnny Thomas back up to the 7th spot, Adam Pettit in 7th, Chris Wright 8th, Nick Indelicato 9th, and Marshall Stanley in 10th.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at this, I think Zishan may have actually gotten no damage. He may have escaped that with a netcode 4X, though maybe there is a crinkle on that 0-1. Or is he the 10? The 10 forward front nose there, 5th in line. Looks like we're going to take another lap here. Chuck Sweeting up here in the top groove. This is a guy that just sneaks up into the top 5 at every single race. It seems like he's always in contention, going to smart his way into victory lane. That's how he does it. So Chuck Sweeting, Michael Goodman, that's a sneaky good little outside lane, but they're going to need to really form up and get close together in order to take down Josh Adams, who has kind of been the dominant driver so far of Speed Weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. If he wins the duel, it would definitely make him one of the favorites going into Daytona 250 next week, taking the Clash duel give him a good starting position as well, sitting up there on the front row.
You know, it's one of those where in actual real life NASCAR, no one has ever won the Clash, the Duel, and the Daytona 500 all in the same week. Sure would be something for us to smash that record early on in ERSCA, and Josh Adams, the only one able to have a chance to do that so far this week.
Oh, he's going to have to hold on for 3 more laps here to finish this one off. We'll see if he can do it. Going to go green this time by. Be Adams and Goodman leading us back to the green flag once again. And we've seen 2 big crashes. Hang on to your seats, because I don't think we're going to be done possibly with cautions here before this one's over. As David said, it's not only starting positions. There is money on the line here for this race. So that could just ratchet up the aggression a little bit more.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy finishes this week. If you're kind of in this iRacing scene, and we're expecting another one in this duel. Josh Adams leading him to the green flag once again.
Ford Mustang pace car down and away, and we are green. Adams getting a good jump. Kind of choosing between both lines. Top line, got 2 cars there together with Goodman and
Chuck Sweeting.
Sweeting, but now Adams choosing that top line 3-car breakaway up top now.
Goodman tried to take it to the bottom in front of Giovanni Klein, couldn't do it, but that outside line is going to have a lot of momentum and kind of carry on by this 83 car down the back straightaway.
We'll see if Klein can get clear, if he'll jump to the top, make it 4 wide. Now Adams and Goodman are going to drop to the bottom. There really are no lines at this point. Everyone going for themselves, trying to find room where they can find it. Sweeting dropping down, everyone going to the bottom now. Second line, the top line, not really there until about 5-6 cars back.
Goodman tried to block Chuck a little bit, tried to stay in front of him, but he just doesn't have the run to be able to take it to the outside against Adams. White flag in the air.
Sweetings has jumped up to the top side, but he's about 3rd car in line on the bottom line there with, I believe that's Klein. Goodman and Adams out front still pushing. Head down the backstretch. Everyone knows when we get out of turn 4, that's when it's every man for himself, and we'll see if Josh Adams can hold him off.
Goodman tries the move. He cuts back inside. Klein jumped underneath.
Klein's still all right. In iRacing, you can go below the line, and as long, in NASCAR, if you don't pass anybody, you're okay to keep your position, but you can't pass anybody. David, look who's coming. Here comes Johnny Thomas through the middle in the 83 car. He's got to run.
Sideways. 2 cars sideways. Right sideways. In the wall goes Burrell.
Adams
Goodman
and Thomas
crashing.
to the line. Here they come.
Josh Adams.
Josh Adams takes the win, and Johnny Thomas was coming.
Wow.
Big one there at the end of it, but Josh Adams, Johnny Thomas, and Crump gonna be your top 3.
Where did Scott Crump come from? And oh man, what a bummer of a finish for Chuck Sweeting and Michael Goodman. Both of them ending up with crashed race cars at the end of that finish. Certainly not indicative of how they ran. Both of them were in line for a win here tonight. Josh Adams, though, just running it perfectly. Getting another win.
I'd have to say that Scott Crump was in line with Johnny Thomas there, coming through the middle of the pack. And they make their way into the top 3 spots. And if you would have asked me who would be the top 3 to advance, I probably would have said those 3, but not in that fashion, that's for sure.
Absolutely shocking finish there to race number 1. As we start up race number 2, maybe we want to try to bring in Josh Adams, let Emily get an interview with him.
We'll keep an eye on him and see if we can bring him up in race, or maybe while we get ready to set the grid. We'll definitely try to talk to at least Josh Adams, if not maybe all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, let's have Emily, get with Josh Adams here now. Send it down to you.
Hey, Josh, do you have a copy?
Yep.
All right. Well, congrats on coming in first. Why were you so successful out there tonight?
A track position, but it's good to talk to you guys again so soon. I feel like we just did this.
I was going to say, first in Clash, first in Duels. Do you think that maybe you're kind of the one to beat next week?
That's a tough question. Definitely a tough answer because anybody can run up front at Daytona. I mean, you saw there, like, they were all over me. I had to throw like 3 or 4 blocks to even win that thing. So just got to put yourself in position and hope everything falls your way.
Did you feel like there was maybe a point in the race tonight where things got a little extra aggressive?
I mean, whenever you get those restarts with 3 or 4 to go, and especially like a green white checkered, everybody's going for it. But yeah, like after we had that first yellow, everybody just keeps trying to go forward, and it kind of causes some wrecks. So a lot of people out of control and stuff. But
And I can imagine after coming in first, the excitement was probably pretty high for you. So how are you feeling going into next week?
I feel pretty good. We're going to get to start third. It's definitely a much longer race next week, so got a lot more time to take care of it. Hopefully it's not as aggressive. But yeah, we'll be doing the same thing next week, trying to go for the win. But I think, like I told you last week, we'll probably maybe sit out back in that one if it gets a little bit chippy up front.
All right. Well, before I let you go, are there any shout outs you would like to give tonight?
I had just my teammates, got a bunch of them: Brandon, Chris, Nick, Brandon again, Colin. A couple of them got wrecked out. I think they might have all gotten wrecked out there in this race, but we've got 2 more in the next one, Nick and Brandon Key. So, hopefully they have a good run.
All right. Well, Josh, congrats on the win, and thanks for the time.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Emily, for getting with our race winner, Josh Adams. We're underway with duel number 2. It's Gerald Campbell out front. Tyler Riggs on the top side trying to get some help from Tag Lighty there.
And that's Tate Lytle. Tate Lytle on the 56 car. And just a quick update for Tate Lytle. He has wrecked in every single race he has run this week.
Sorry about that, Tate. I'll get it right as we go on through the season, but we'll see. Are you jinxing them there, David? Are you saying that Lytle's going to wreck here in the duel as well?
No. Whenever I talk well about somebody as a broadcaster, they end up wrecking immediately. Happened earlier tonight with the Elite Xfinity Series champion. I talked about him making a good move, and then he immediately got walled. So telling you, Tate has wrecked every race this week. This has got to be the one he doesn't, right? I mean, the guy has had such terrible luck.
Well, I don't know. Does that count as a broadcaster jinx or not? We'll see.
It's the reverse jinx. I'm going to say he's going to crash so that he doesn't.
All right. Well, we'll see if it works. He's looking for the race lead here as Scott Riggs jumped down to the bottom side. Tate Lytle getting a push from behind here out to the race lead, and I do believe he did lead lap number 3 there.
All right. So Tate Lytle to the lead. That is James Heater in the 16 car pushing Tate Lytle. And James with one of the better looking schemes for this ERSCA field. I really do like the old Roush Racing Greg Biffle font on that 16 car. It's looking quite sporty as he's making his way up on the outside lane.
I mean, so do we count that? You said usually when you talk about him, they instantly crash. Well, as soon as you talk about him, he instantly goes to the race lead. So I guess it works, right?
I'm certainly going to take that. When I talk about it and how he's wrecked all week, it goes to the lead. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Tyler Riggs back to the point, though, in that 26 car. And we've seen Riggs and Campbell. Those were the other two with Crump, Thomas, and Adams that really dominated the clash. So those guys kind of maybe have a little bit of a leg up on the rest of this field as when it comes to experience this week running with these Xfinity cars.
Crump and Riggs have pulled away a little bit from that bottom line in the 05 of Hill. Gonna have to wait for Hill to get a push to get back up to him. They're gonna lose some momentum here to the top line. They're stacked up better. Gonna have some momentum down the back stretch as they head into turns 3 and 4.
Yep, you got this. James Heater is an open car, so he's looking to kind of push his way to the front. I do believe he qualified well enough to lock himself into the show, but that information is just going to be difficult to keep up with as we go. Josh Personette hanging out a couple of cars behind them, looking for the first name of Francis there in the 50 car. Joe Francis, he was I believe 4th in points last year in this 50 car. So I'd look out for him to maybe make some moves, try to get up to the front here if he can find a way around Tate Lytle or Tyler Riggs.
Lytle out to the race lead now. He's got a full car length lead ahead. He's cleared Riggs. We'll see if he drops down to the bottom or if he stays with his partner here so far, and Heater up on the top side. And there comes Lytle to the bottom. He's going to block Riggs on that low line. We'll see if Riggs decides to jump up to the top side here, as we saw in the first duel. But it looks like Heater's going to get a push to keep Riggs on that bottom line.
Yep. Tay Lytle and Tyler Riggs work together. They've worked together a number of times, including in that duel race, or rather in that clash race last Monday. Gerald Campbell with them as well. Those guys all have run a number of times together. They're familiar with each other. Heater, Francis up top. Francis certainly probably the fastest, most of our higher points finishers last year up at the front of this field. Also in this field will be our defending champion Nick Massey for ERSCA in the 48 car. He'll be mid-pack there in the kind of silver and red car if you're looking for someone who is coming off a big championship run in our last ERSCA season.
Joe Francis aboard that Ford Mustang trying to push James Heater to the race lead. Heater got the lead for a brief moment, but Lytle back on the inside getting that push from Riggs and Campbell. Back out in front. Top line trying to gain momentum once again.
And what we're seeing is a very similar situation to the first heat, or the first dual race rather, with the inside line, whoever's on the inside, able to kind of control the race. The outside inches their way up close to passing, then kind of falls back. Then if they actually do pass, the first car on the outside line takes that inside line for himself, and then we repeat the process. These Xfinity cars are all about track position, as you heard from Josh Adams on the interview. He mentioned that the only reason he was able to stay up there is just because he was always up there the whole race, and that's going to play a factor. It's very difficult to pass these Xfinity cars. You cannot take runs to the outside. You'll just get freight trained to the back. So just inching forward with every little bit you can get is what you have to do.
Heater with another run to the top side here, trying to inch out ahead of Lytle. And he's getting a run and a good push from Joe Francis here on the top side.
We're watching Josh Personet there in the 18 car also kind of making his way into the picture. That's another one. Then Dalton Tucker in the 24 as well. Guys who are kind of just trying to sneak their way into this top five and maybe make a bid for the lead. Right there in this front group, also Robert Hill and David Strackbonnet.
Seems like it's kind of, you mentioned the track position and switching top and bottom lines, but it seems like everyone's kind of got the same philosophy as we saw in the first duel, just kind of riding around maybe for the first 15 laps or so, just feeling everything out, feeling the cars around them, how everybody's racing. Then it might ratchet up again here in the second half of the race.
Oh man, 8 car to the bottom of the racetrack, almost on the apron. Thomas Sherman around him. Is he gonna spin it? Oh man, that'll be Lafferty. That'll be Richard Lafferty.
There by Richard Lafferty.
Yep, excellent save by Lafferty. Does a great job of keeping that car on the road. He's locked into this 500, so doesn't necessarily need to finish up in this top group. Might be a blessing in disguise if they wad him up.
Lytle still out front by a full car. Once again, that bottom line hooked up. Riggs and Campbell pushing well down there on the bottom, and got the 24 in there as Tucker as well. They're all nose to tail as they make their way around here on lap number 9. 21 laps left to go.
There's just very little that any of these guys can do outside of stay in line. Taking it 3 wide just isn't going to work. You're going to have to wait. As James Heater challenging Lytle, he might get the lead and does in the 16 on the outside.
We've seen this all dual race long. Bottom line gets a run, top line gets a run, back and forth we go. Heater has not really been able to get out ahead of Lytle far enough to drop down to that bottom line, but he has been able to poke his nose out, especially at the start-finish line, to lead a couple laps here.
And we'll have to see how the race kind of ends up. But were that the last lap, that would have been a very, very close photo finish between these two. As it were, though, Tate Lytle able to keep the inside line on track and pull it back towards the lead. In here, got Tate Lytle's elite racing teammate Matthew Weeks on the bottom, though he has just jumped up to the outside lane in the 11th car at the back end of this picture.
Lytle once again out clear of everybody, and especially that top line. Sticking with Riggs, though, those two seem glued together on that bottom line. Campbell not really going anywhere either, sticking with that 3-car tandem. But it seemed to work as the top line gets a run here once again. Here comes Heater off the top side. See if he'll be able to clear Lytle by a full car this time. Lytle still got the nose underneath that 16 car of Heater. Now here comes the bottom line again.
Tyler Riggs and Gerald Campbell, teammates in this series, as well as the 18 car of Josh Personette. They are running for PRC Esports. So all three of those cars up here in the top 6. Strong showing.
Closing in on the halfway point here in duel number 2. Cars moving around quite a bit deeper on in the pack, but Lytle still trying to hold the race lead, and here comes another run from the top side once again, led by Heater.
Yep, this pack is just very much kind of in rhythm now. Not able to make any moves, not the outside line really not pushing forward at all. So it's all formed up. Everyone's just kind of holding point.
I think we still pretty much have all but maybe 1 or 2 cars there in the back still in the pack. A couple cars losing just a little bit of touch from our group.
Lytle still managing to maintain the lead on the bottom of the racetrack. That outside line just not able to get the run together. I think it's because Personette not trying to assist Riggs and Campbell's kind of loss of track position. He's not really keeping it to the back bumper of the guys in front of him there, and you can see as it kind of falls back, inside line much more formed up to the outside, though. Heater finally getting a good run. He's not clear, though. Lytle able to hold on to the inside.
It's about the second, maybe even third time we've seen Heater get a good run down the backstretch. I think he definitely thought about jumping down in front of Lytle there, but decided not to. Probably thought it was the better decision not to take out what would have been probably a good amount of the field, as it would have been up front there getting together. But working on lap number 14 of 30.
First time we've seen people going to the top of the track. That is a pair of Rubbins Racing teammates there, Nick Massey and Brandon Key. Working their way to the top of the racetrack. Massey, though, kind of runs stalls out there. He tries to go to the top on Matthew Weeks to help him out, but the last time we saw 3 wide in the last race, it ended in a disaster, so it's really killing the momentum of the outside lane. Riggs clears Heater now.
Yeah, when you have cars jump up like that, it ruins the momentum, but Riggs going to jump up there, try to go around Lytle now, get that top line back in group back together and get the momentum rolling once again. We've hit the halfway point here in duel number 2.
Josh Person making a move to the top. That may have been a move to save the engine on that car. He could have been overheating. Voluntarily jumped it up to the outside lane and headed to the back. Not sure that would have been something you want to do at a track where it looks like the track position is going to be king.
Riggs out front now, trying to pull that top line along. Lytle still on the bottom. Campbell down there pushing him as well, along with Tucker. Come back to the start-finish line halfway now through our duel.
Strong run for Dalton Tucker there in the 24 car. One of those drivers got to race their way in.
All right, now we've crossed the halfway point. What we start to see, cars get a little more aggressive here as we make our way through.
I mean, this has certainly been a more clean race than the last one was, but that just invites disaster later on for even bigger events. Brandon Key and Nick Massey up to the top of the track, certainly getting aggressive, just like you said. trying to really make something work up there. This is a very aggressive move, and it might even be a little bit early for the risk that this is kind of taking. But Key and Massey both locked into the field, not really worried about crashing their cars, trying to get their way into the, the top group.
They're hanging up there, not really losing too much ground, and they've been able to keep it 3 wide back there in rows 3 and 4. See how long they can stay up there.
Be able to stay up there, they would just love to see someone like Josh Clark get in here behind him and try to push him. But Clark is right behind his teammate Matthew Weeks, so I don't see that happening. But there, Heater on! Oh, he's going to turn Riggs.
That's going to stack up the field. There goes Heater into the wall. Joe Francis into the wall. Riggs gets hit from behind. Didn't see who got into him, but the front 3 cars there on the top side are receiving quite a bit of damage.
I think that was Hanshaw in the 46. That was an incredible job to avoid that wreck. But we're going to have to take a look at his onboard at some point. That car, look at that, spotless. That machine was still going to have a chance to win this race because of a great job of wreck avoidance there by Hanshaw.
That top line that went 3 wide was starting to make momentum. Starting to draw up here on Riggs before they got turned. We'll take a replay here. See exactly what happened.
It did take out James Heater as well, who's another one of our open drivers. Let's look at this move. Oh my goodness.
Definitely got a good, clean view there of Riggs as he was spinning around, and it almost looked like he knew that wreck was about to happen. He started slowing down before they started wrecking. As David said, keeping that car completely clean.
When you're in the back of the pack, you really want some kind of a clean path to get around the wreck. Riggs there getting into Dalton Tucker. Looks like Heater, Riggs, Francis, and the 44 of David Strackbine were the ones to take kind of the brunt of the damage. Everyone got away pretty clean overall. Tough break for Tyler Riggs, though, running inside the top 5.
So Lytle, your race leader, Campbell in 2nd. Hines now in 3rd, Hanshaw 4th, Tucker 5th, Massey 6th, Hill's now going to move up. As things get changed around here. Hill in 5th, Tucker in 6th, Heater still in 7th, Francis 8th. Now I guess they're going down pit road. So I'll wait for timing and scoring to update everything before we try running down through the order again.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And so we'll bring in Kyle Hanshaw for an interview with Emily. So let's send it down to Emily.
All right, Kyle, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, so just take me through what you saw out there on the track.
Yeah, I really couldn't see what happened at the start of it, but just seeing everybody getting tangled together, going around, and that's why I was kind of laying back there for this first half of the race, and then I was just starting to make my way up through there and seeing them wrecking, and just had nowhere to go and locked them down, and thank God I didn't hit nothing. So we should be good here for this last half of the race.
Yeah, how were you able to avoid that?
I tried my best not to flat spot the tires, but I had no choice. I had to just get hard on the brakes and come to a complete stop. But thank God we didn't hit nothing, and we'll see if we can pull one out here at the end.
Yeah, it looks like you're sitting in the number 4 spot right now. So what's the strategy kind of going forward to finish this race out for you?
Probably just maintain track position, see if I can just stay up here, probably try to hang back in the 2nd row here, and see if I could get a run coming to the white flag and be there at the end.
All right, Kyle, thanks for the time and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Emily. So we got Tate Lytle, race leader, Campbell 2nd, Hines 3rd, Hanshaw 4th, Sherman 5th, Hill 6th, Massey 7th, McDonald 8th, Lafferty 9th, and Personat in 10th.
That really shuffled up the running order. We have a number of guys in the back now with damage. We got to wonder whether or not some of these guys can, need to make their way through the field. I think back there, Jared Mogard's going to need to make his way up through this group. Yeah, I think Richard Hines is definitely going to need to maintain this position up here in third, doing a really good job. But he's definitely going to need to stay up here because he did not qualify super well. He's got to finish up here to make his way in.
Well, we're going to be under 10 laps to go when we go back green flag racing. And them double file once again.
And what this has done is it's taken away Tate Lytle's comfort zone behind him. He had either Tyler Riggs or Gerald Campbell behind him the entire time there. Now he's got Campbell beside him and Richard Hines behind him. Let's see if Tate Lytle can maintain the lead like he did before the caution.
Ford Mustang pace car peels away. Green flag back in the air. Lytle leading us back to the green flag. And we'll see if he or Campbell try to team back up. They're side by side, and they both pulled a little bit of a gap away. The bottom line not developing at all. Top line's got it already keyed up, and it looks like Campbell was thinking about diving to the bottom. Here comes Hill to the bottom, going to help out Lytle.
Looks like Hines has a lot of damage on that 81 car. Definitely going to be able to run in the pack, but not going to be able to lead it nor get off to a good start. So Richard Hines doesn't want to see another caution. Gerald Campbell, though, looked to the lead with Henshaw looking to the outside. Now Campbell down in front of Lytle.
Lytle now going to switch up the duties and give the push to Campbell. These two have been hooked together all day long, and we'll see if they stay that way. Nope, here goes Lytle to the top side, now going to drop back down behind Campbell. Tuck in line, second in line here on the bottom. As we got 8 to go here in duel number 2.
Our defending champion Nick Massey up here on the outside lane. He has kind of found his way to the front, as you'd expect a defending champion to do so, but right behind Kyle Henshaw, who we just talked to. He was sitting there saying, I want to hang out in second on the outside. Well, Gerald Campbell moved down away from him. Now he's got an opportunity to bid for the lead.
Still Campbell out front by about half a car, maybe now a quarter of a car. As Henshaw trying to bid for that lead. Getting a push from Massey while Lytle still pushing Campbell down here.
That's an incredible job by Nick Lafferty in the 8 car. Remember, we saw him sideways on the apron, nearly spinning out early in this race, and he has worked his way all the way back up into the top 5. Brilliant job by Nick Lafferty.
Hines definitely has been shuffled out from this top group now. He's back to the 11th place spot. As David said, receiving quite a bit of damage to the nose of that race car, and we saw it in the clash with Leininger. He was trying to stay up, but he can't push. He could receive a push and carry a good amount of momentum, but when you can't push a car, it's tough to stay with the front pack here at Daytona.
On board with Robert Hill Jr., another one of these guys looking to, I believe, he's locked into the field. Yes, Robert Hill's going to be locked into the field. So looking to just pick up a good run, a good win maybe, or at least a top 10 starting spot for our Daytona 500 next week.
6 laps left to go here. Even with our one big one, it's still been cleaner than what we saw in duel number 1. Henshaw hanging out there on the outside of Campbell.
And that big one it was just placed so that it broke up this field, but Henshaw able to clear the lead. Massey and Lafferty really cleaning up that outside line, running very, very well, very tight, lots of energy. Massey's going to even try to go to rounds Henshaw to the outside.
Henshaw drops to the bottom. Now he'll let Campbell draw up on the back of that 46 car. Campbell looking to try to make a move here, trying to push him out in front of Massey. Campbell's been the pusher all day long. He's been up front for the last few laps, and he's looking to try to get back up there. Looking for a way around Henshaw.
You can see how these guys are all grouped up on the top lane. Everybody wants to be up top. You do not want to be on the bottom because you just get kind of stuck. As here goes Campbell to the outside. He'll get in front of Nick Massey now and try to take the lead away from Henshaw.
I wouldn't be surprised. He rides this run out and push from Massey, then maybe drops down to the bottom here in the corner. picks up that bottom line, and there he goes. Campbell back to the point and back to the bottom line. Going to get in front of Hanshaw and Lytle. Getting on board with Kyle Hanshaw right now.
Nasty will have a run to the top, though. So it wasn't, Hanshaw did not have enough space to kind of make that jump up to the top. Massey was able to keep it in line. 4 laps to go here in duel number 2.
Massey sitting on that corner panel, that left or right rear corner panel of Campbell. He wasn't going to be able to jump up, but he could now if he wanted to block that top line. He's thinking about it. We're going to stay with Hanshaw down here at the bottom. Top line losing a little bit of momentum as they go through the corner.
It's always a little bit risky to make those side on those blocks on the straightaway as Lytle tries to go with Hanshaw and can't get it done. He has to fall back in so that Massey doesn't turn him into the wall. Wise move by Lytle as Hanshaw bids for the lead.
Lytle will pair back up with Campbell once again. They've been hooked together most of the day. Hanshaw back with Massey, and we'll see. Massey's pushed Hanshaw out to the race lead already once today. We'll see if he can do it again as we close in on the final few laps. 2-car breakaway on the bottom here for Campbell and Lytle. Now here comes Hanshaw and Massey back to the top side to close up the gap.
Harrison tailing on the bottom behind them, not able to really close it up, though the outside line more well-formed, better energy. Hanshaw trying to get around Campbell. Remember, he said he just wanted to ride, but he's done nothing but race for the lead since that restart. Might have fooled us as he comes down to 2 to go. Looks like he's even going to lead at the line.
Yeah, but I think this bottom line is going to pick up momentum here. They got a few cars coming with a run on the bottom. Going to catch back up to Campbell here. We'll see if they can get it formed up. And challenge, here goes Hanshaw about down to the bottom. He's going to block that bottom line. He saw the run coming. He drops down in front of Campbell, and now it's Massey to top. Here goes Campbell up to the top. Going to try to pick up some momentum. He's going to leave Hanshaw out to dry. He'll fall back down to Lytle. Campbell picks up Massey, and they got some momentum rolling on the top side now.
Yeah, but that you saw there that the inside line was able to prevail. Tate Lytle got to the back bumper of Hanshaw quicker than Massey got to Campbell, and so Campbell wasn't able to really complete the run and drop down in front of Hanshaw. White flag.
White flag in the air. Look at how close they are at the line. I think Campbell had it by maybe a tire.
Hanshaw's
Hanshaw's out of shape. That's going to bring up the bottom line, and they're crashing. Big one behind them. Cars spinning everywhere. White flag, though. I think we're going to race it back to the line.
We are. Tate Lytle's going to have an opportunity to win this race. He may have the push on Campbell.
He dives to the inside. There's a slow car up top. That could affect things here, and they're going to leave Campbell out to dry. Now Massey's going to pick him up. 2 by 2 to the line we go. It's Campbell and Lytle up front. And they're all going to crash. Massey's going to come through. He's going to take the race lead. It's Massey and Hanshaw. I don't know if Hanshaw is going to be able to close the gap in time. I think it's going to be Massey taking it to the line. Nick Massey, your defending champ, is going to win duel number 2. How about that one, David?
Oh my goodness! You're Emily. You're gonna have to ask Massey if he meant to do that. One swift move and he took out all his competitors just like that. Great finish there to finish things off. Yeah, Nick Massey. What a race there. Kyle Henshaw with that stop ends up finishing second. That was move of the race for me.
That was absolutely crazy coming to the finish. It only Daytona style. That's the best way I can describe it. I mean, what else would you expect from Daytona other than absolute chaos on the last lap? 2 big ones in reality coming to the finish line. And we will wait for these guys to get up here, and then we'll send it down to Emily to interview them. But that only sets the tone for the big race next week, David. It's been an interesting one here from the duels.
You know, Daytona is always going to be a wild card race to some degree, and I think that is just extremely indicative of what we're going to see next week. We could see literally any of these drivers take it to victory lane with the amount of talent that's in this field.
All right, so we do have Nick down here, a race winner from duel number 2. So we'll send it down to Emily, and she can talk to our race winner. Emily?
All right, Nick, do you have a copy?
I do. I got you.
All right, so you're the defending champ, and you come in the final lap and kind of mess things up a little bit for some people. What did you see out there tonight?
Yeah, it was fun racing all those guys for the win there. I hate what happened in turn 3. I was just gonna plan on pushing Gerald to the win there. I just kind of caught him a little wrong and ended up wrecking all 3 of them. But, we'll take it, I guess. I mean, not the way you want to see it, but a win's a win.
Yeah, what were the challenges for you tonight with this race?
It was just so hard to pass. Like if you got buried back there in like the middle of the pack, it was so hard to pick a line and like make some moves happen to get up to the lead. It was just so hard because everybody's just kind of riding and trying to do the same thing.
Well, I can imagine that the excitement level is pretty high for you just to get things going. So how are you kind of feeling, especially going into next week?
Feeling pretty good. Daytona hasn't been too kind to me as of recent, so looking forward to kind of wrap up Daytona and get to some of these short tracks and intermediate tracks for sure. Should be a lot of fun. Just all the support the league's gotten. You guys coming on board doing the broadcasting and all the sponsors coming on board. Really excited to get the season kicked off.
Yeah, before I let you go, are there any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah, just shout out to my new sponsor this year, Springfield Cadillac Buick GMC, coming on board. So nice to kind of represent and get a win for them in the first kind of event of the year. So, and thanks to you guys for coming on board doing the broadcast. Looking forward to having you guys around all season.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it too. And congrats on the win. Thanks for the time, Nick.
No, thanks, guys.
So that was Nick Massey, and we've got Tate Lytle in the waiting room too. And Emily, I'd say ask Tate what he thinks about not making it through a race without completely junking that 56 car.
Hi, Tate. You have a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. So I have to ask you, Dave and Dom both mentioned how you had wrecked every race this week. So how does it feel to kind of make it through one, finishing in third?
Well, I feel like the streak's still alive because we tore that turn 3 wall down pretty good there on the last lap. But yeah, at least we finished on the lead lap for once.
How did it feel tonight? How did the track feel? How did your car feel tonight?
It's a little sketchier this week than it was last week in the Clash. But I mean, it felt fine. Led a lot of laps. It felt like I was gonna win until I'm not sure what happened. But I got hooked straight in the fence, and at least we were able to keep it straight, get third.
Was there a point that you kind of felt like things got a little bit more aggressive tonight, or maybe the drivers got a little bit more aggressive, kind of, jockeying for position tonight?
Definitely after that caution. I don't know. That first run. I felt like I was just kind of leading the bottom lane the whole time, so I really wasn't sure how the racing was behind me. But after that first caution, I kind of got shuffled back a little bit, and yeah, it was pretty intense that last lap. 46. I don't know if you hit the apron or if you got doored, but 3 wide going to turn 1. I thought for sure we were wrecking there. Somehow saved it, and then we ended up doing it in turn 3 anyway.
Well, how are you feeling now to get this one done and kind of get the season going?
It's always a good feeling when you can get rid of a Daytona race. I think I got like 2 or 3 more in the next week or two. Just looking forward to going to some different tracks.
Perfect. Well, before I let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, you 4 up here for doing what you're doing. Obviously, Brent Wentz, Days Gone By. Check that out. He's got a lot of cool vintage racing memorabilia and apparel on there. I've bought quite a few things from him, so go check that out. And yeah, thanks to you guys and Johnny.
Yeah, thank you, and congrats on tonight.
Thank you much.
All right. Well, that was our third place finisher, Tate Lytle. Thanks, Emily, as Nick Massey burns it down here after winning duel number 2. And well, David, any final thoughts here as we'll go through the results here real quick to wrap up the night? Well, Nick Massey took the win, Kyle Hanshaw second, Tate Lytle third, Thomas Sherman fourth, and Josh Clark rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, I think that we'll have to set the lineup, and maybe once we get an opportunity to actually take a look at it and see who was in and who was out, might have more to say. But all I'm saying is you guys need to come back and tune in again next week. I think this show for a full distance race is going to be absolutely stunning, and we're going to have to be on the lookout for another fantastic race.
Just to finish out the results here, Gerald Campbell came sixth, Tyler McIntosh took seventh, Richard Lafferty eighth, Byron McDonald ninth, and Robert Hill Jr. 10th, Brandon Key 11th, Jared Mogard 12th, Richard Hines 13th, Harrison Talon 14th, Dalton Tucker 15th, Tyler Riggs 16th, Matthew Week 17th, and Joshua Personat in 18th. Yeah, I agree, David. I think we had don't want to miss Joe Francis either in 19th and James Heater 20th, David Strackenbean in 21st, and Matthew Bayok in 22nd. We saw a little bit of everything. Exciting finishes, the big one multiple times, some back and forth racing. I think it all builds up to the big Daytona 250 next week. I think it just gave us a little bit of a glimpse, a little bit more than what we saw in the Clash, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think everyone should come back and tune in next Monday night at 9:30. And any final thoughts one last time for you, or maybe even Emily, you want to say anything else before we wrap it up here from the Clash at Daytona?
Yeah, this was just super fun to watch. It's great getting to chat with the drivers and kind of get their take on things. So, just a good job all around by everyone, and I'm super excited for next week.
All right. David, do you have anything?
Nope. Let's get Daytona on the road, man. I'm like Tate Lytle. I'm ready to leave this place. I've only had some bad luck, but I've managed to call some amazing races. So I'll be in the booth. You guys are going to get an absolute treat because everything I've watched this week has been absolutely phenomenal.
All right. So for Emily, Josh, and David, and everyone else here at ERSCA, I'm Dom Santina. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you back here next Monday night. And